Art is too important not to share. Welcome to the Allie and Callie Artcast.
Hi, I'm Allie.
And I'm Callie. Welcome to the Artcast.
Yes, welcome. We're still in Walla Walla.
Yes, we're in phase 2, I guess.
Phase 2.
Let's call it phase 2.
Okay, that works for
Why
me.
Why not? So we went and saw Beauty and the Beast last night with Walla Walla Summer Theater.
We did, and
it was lovely.
it was a really
And you know what?
good
It was
show.
fun to see because I did the show, I don't know, 5-7 years ago. I don't even remember it because I don't
'Cause
remember
you were
anything.
Mrs. Potts.
I was Mrs. Potts, and Mrs. Potts was lovely. I don't know her name because I don't remember anything. Elaina, our friend, was Belle, and
Elaina
she was
Dejong.
lovely. What is
It
that?
was the perfect role for her.
She was
She
gorgeous.
could just basically be herself.
She could go Belle everywhere.
Yeah.
Be Belle everywhere.
She probably is Belle everywhere.
She is Belle. Anyway, it was lovely. Brad
Yes.
Wilkutz, whom I worked with many years ago with also the artistic director, Tyson Kaup, put on a beautiful production. The orchestra was great. Oh, I can't wait to talk to Tyson about all these things.
I know, right?
But we loved it. We had great seats. It was just so much
thank
fun.
you, Tyson, for the seats.
Yes,
That was
exactly.
My pleasure.
treat.
I mean, okay, let's just get to it.
Yes, let's get to it.
I keep talking about him, and he's right
I know,
here.
he's right here.
I'm going to turn my chair because I
Waiting
feel
for
like
that fancy intro.
I know. There was no fancy banter. I was like, well,
Yes.
let's
So
just
welcome,
go to it.
Tyson.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you
Yeah,
bet.
this has been so much fun. We think we're going to move to Walla Walla.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
So-
ready.
If you need, yeah, she's ready. We're ready.
I mean, what more could you ask? A town of wine, performances, art.
I know it's got everything.
Yeah.
just living that,
Living the
lifestyle
dream.
magazine way of life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So tell us. I mean, I met you many years ago during what I think it was the West Side Story year.
I think it was West Side Story year, and I'm trying to remember exactly what year. It might have been 2000.
It could have been. I feel like I had 2 children or 1 child.
2001. I can't remember.
It's somewhere in there,
Yeah.
and you and I were brother and sister. You know, back in the day,
You do
when
kind of look alike.
yeah, I was way too old to play the part, but I was so grateful that you were my brother, Chino, and I was Maria in West Side Story. So that's how we are connected. But tell us more about where you grew up and how are you involved in theater? How did it all start?
I grew up here in Walla Walla. My family's kind of old school Walla Walla. My grandfather owned a chain of grocery stores here across this region, and grew up here. Actually, I grew up in an even smaller town called Athena, Oregon, which is like population 200, but I was born in Walla Walla, and we moved here when I was in 3rd grade for like the big city life, at that time. And I got into acting very early, had my first sort of big show at the Fort Walla Walla Amphitheater in 1993. I played Prince Tula Longcorn in The King and I.
Oh.
Yes, I loved it, and it changed my life.
Yeah.
From that point on, I did all of the theater I could do between, I think I was in 6th grade maybe at that time, and I started enrolling in community college drama classes, and by the time I graduated from high school, I had like 130 community college credits.
Wow. You're
I
like,
just did everything,
Yeah.
I did 50 or something or more plays, either being backstage or on
Right.
stage, and just it really became my family.
Right.
My family had been going through a really rough time at that point. My parents are going through a really messy divorce, and I really needed
An outlet.
Community.
yeah, community. And they brought me in. I had really good influences that kept me, on a focused path.
Right.
And the fact that I loved doing something and wanted to do it, no one was checking my report card. No one was asking when I came home. I was very much on my own, but because I really saw myself and wanted myself to have a future in this and knew it was competitive, I held myself to a high standard, and I was able to eventually graduate from high school, had my first professional job at Coeur in 1999 shortly after, and ended up going to NYU and graduating from Tisch, where I studied with the Atlantic Theater Company. And
Awesome.
all because I got my start in theater and found my passion
In
when I
Walla
was
Walla?
12. Yeah, in Walla Walla.
I love the fact that you say the community, because I went through a bad breakup, and that's when I met Coeur d'Alene Summer Theater, and it changed my life. It just changed the trajectory of where I was going, and it gave me confidence in myself, which I really needed at that time. So I completely understand that
Absolutely.
perspective.
We hear it all the time, like theater saved my life.
Yeah,
You know?
it does.
People that maybe don't have anything else, maybe people that aren't recognized for being a sports star or an academic star, they really can find a way to let their freak flag fly and
Yeah.
and really really make
Yeah.
it make them feel like that's honored because it can be in theater,
Well, there's so many different ways you can be creative on stage or off.
Right.
And it's I think a very open community where you can feel supported and loved and encouraged.
Well, it's truly like a family.
Yeah.
I mean, you
So-
become
Yeah.
a family.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you came to Walla Walla. When did you come back to Walla Walla?
We moved back from New York in like 20, so I was there for 15 years. We had a short couple of years in Seattle, and I was about to start working again because I had been a stay-at-home dad for 7 years raising our 3 kids.
Wow.
Our first two kids were born in Manhattan, and we said, let's get out of here,
Yeah,
and
it's a
so
lot.
we moved. Yeah, it was a lot. Never thought we'd have kids. Never thought we'd leave the city. But life changes.
It just happens.
Yeah. And we ended up going to Seattle for a couple of years. I was supposed to restart my career doing wedding singer with the Village Village Theater, but it was the production right when COVID started, and our production got shut down 2 weeks before rehearsals were supposed to start, and it for me was like a death in the family because I had been craving.
You're like, I'm ready.
I'm going back. Like I get to, and
I'm
not only
on
that,
it.
I get to meet this new community of people, make friends.
Right.
I was so starved for adult interaction, being at home for so many years.
Oh yeah.
And when that sort of fell through, it was just really devastating. Not only because it was COVID, but because it kind of stopped that in its tracks.
Yeah. Sure.
And through the couple of years, we just sort of kept coming back to Walla Walla for various reasons. One of them just being, the easy childcare with family, or just the weather, or the fun sort of, experiences you can have here. And I said, actually, my wife said, would you ever want to move back to Walla Walla? And I was like, absolutely not.
Give me other choices. Other choices. Yeah.
But really, I was like, would you really want to move to my home? Because I feel like it's asking a lot for a spouse to move to your hometown because you have history there. You have all of these,
Yeah.
And I had a lot of angst around the community here when I was a child. So moving back, I wasn't sure. I drive by a playground or a baseball
wait
field,
a
and I'm
minute.
like, why do I feel this icky feeling? Something must have happened. You have this history.
Right.
But Walla Walla's changed a lot since the 90s when I was really growing up here, and I like to say it's earned my respect.
Oh, there you go.
No, but it really, it's a wonderful place for where we are at in our lives now. And I could be, working as an actor in New York or in Seattle, but I really wonder, I just feel there's so much reward in sort of building a legacy here. And I feel a big responsibility for giving back to the little me's out there. Like I think about myself and the King and I and how much I needed that. And I talk about how the Fort Walla Walla Amphitheater hasn't existed for the last 10 years.
Right.
And what we're trying to do to change that. And I feel so bad that these kids, those 10 years are whose lives could have been affected by having those experiences.
Right.
So I just feel a lot of responsibility and pride in what we're building here.
Right.
Cool.
Now, is Walla Walla Summer Theater the only theater in the summer here?
Yes, I believe we're the only theater that does theater through the summer. There's a community theater called the Little Theater of Walla Walla.
Oh, right.
And they are they're very, very good community theater. They function during the regular year.
Right.
And they have some programming in the summer for kids stuff. I think Missoula Children's Theater comes and does a thing there. And then there's a couple colleges that have college theaters here. So Whitman College, Walla Walla University has some theater in there still. But that's pretty much it.
We saw Beauty and the Beast at the college, right?
We saw it at Whitman College.
Whitman College. That's quite a space.
That was a nice theater.
It is a cool space. It's a 1,400 seat theater. Well, it's actually a hall,
I was going to say it's really big.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not the perfect theater.
It's not a theater. It's really meant for symphonic music, so it's hard for us sound-wise.
Yeah.
There's so much echo.
Yes.
It's not really meant for amplified voices. So we do what we can.
It's got some challenges.
It does have some challenges.
But it's a nice big space.
Yep.
You've got a pit.
Yep.
which is very nice. I was
Yep.
going to mention I don't know how big the orchestra was, but they sounded lovely.
Yeah, I think it's like 12.
They were wonderful.
Yeah, but they do sound like a bigger orchestra.
They do.
I think. Yeah.
It sounded wonderful.
Yeah. For me, the one thing that could be better about Corner is like you just got to be able to take your drinks in the theater.
That would have been nice.
We asked. We did ask.
Yeah, I know.
We did.
I know.
It's probably better. I actually stayed awake through the whole
Yeah. There is that.
But it's a wonderful space. We're lucky to be able to use it. It's hard for us because if you don't live in your own space, we built our sets out at a shop at the amphitheater space. Mm-hmm. We rehearsed at the community college. This, where we're at now downtown, is our teaching studio space where we build our costumes. So we have 3 different spaces.
Yeah, you're all over the
that
place.
we bring into Cordner, and we have 4 days of tech in a space that we're not super used to. So it's, the last 4 days of rehearsal are always just nail biting.
Right.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Well, and I understand that it was 12 days of
Was it
putting
12
the
days
show
of
together.
I think there are 18 days total rehearsal days. So
Okay.
it's very
That's
similar to
good.
Coeur d'Alene, where it's
what they
2
do. Mm-hmm.
2 weeks of basically cast rehearsals, and then you do like
Tech.
4 days of tech, and then you open.
Yeah. Well, I thought you did a great job. The choreography was great.
Katie Janis has done a wonderful job with the choreography.
Yeah. And I think I saw your daughter in the show.
Yeah, Elowen is in the show. She's one of the young villagers, and
She's a great little dancer.
Dancer.
Yeah.
So
was great.
sweet.
She was our Mary in Secret Garden last year, and oh my
sweet.
goodness, so wonderful when you can share a passion with anybody, but it's a friend. But even when it's your daughter, it's like one of the biggest gifts of my life to share this passion and with her, and always surprising when I see her. I'm just like, wow. I mean, I know you're good, but
oh geez, I know. You're like, watch out.
She's magnetic the way that she presents herself on stage. Yeah, I'm really, really proud of her, and she works very hard. Yeah.
So you're the executive artistic director, and you started that how many years ago?
So right when we moved back, actually, the organization began with the idea to revitalize the Fort Walla Walla Amphitheater. Mm-hmm. So kind of on a joke, I was out at the park where the amphitheater is, and I said, wouldn't this be like all the social distancing you could ever want, like on a social media post?
Yeah.
And everyone was like, you gotta do it. And we had this huge community outreach.
Oh, sure.
And so I said, okay, let's try to do it. If there's this much passion and goodwill in the community for the project, it seems like we should be able to get this off the ground. Mm-hmm. So we went to the city. We created an RFP for them. They actually had an open process where they invited anyone to come. We won the contract. We got a 20-year contract with the city.
That's great.
To lease the space. And since then, we've been slowly fundraising, maintaining, and updating the site. We are at a point now where we've done pretty much all of the demo and cleanup that we can do, and we're needing to raise a significant amount of funds in order to begin building back again.
Right.
Why did the amphitheater shut down in the first place?
The amphitheater was built to house this production called Trails West, which was sort of the Marcus and Narcissa Whitman story. It was like the story of our region, and it was written by this guy, Bill Gillig, who was a Western writer at the time. And it was this big Western pageant play, and they came in and they did all this cowboy stuff, and they had a battle between, the Native Americans and the settlers. And it was, from what I hear, awful, pretty awful, you know what I mean? Especially with what we would consider to be okay today. And it closed after 2 years. So that was in 76. It opened, ran for 2 years, and then it shut down. And the community college here started doing productions out there in 1980 to help raise scholarships for their students. And so they held the lease for 30 years, and they paid something. I'm not quite sure what the deal is. I think it was like $1 a year just to maintain the space. But the good thing about that was that the space was subsidized by the Community College Foundation. So if you were the groundskeeper at the community college, you would work the grounds at the Fort Walla Walla Amphitheater. If you were the community college, music teacher, you would be the music director for the production, or the drama teacher would be, So it was very highly subsidized by that organization. I think eventually, with all of the sort of challenges academia has had in the past 20 years or so, they decided, I think it's probably just easier for us to have a fundraising dinner and probably raise just as much with very much less work.
Right.
Because the margins aren't super high, in theater.
Right.
So
Yeah.
if you make money, you feel like you're a success, and
Yeah.
I think for them it was sort of a lot of work
Yeah.
that maybe they just didn't see as necessary anymore. So they stopped their lease and their agreement with the city, and the last show there was Fiddler on the Roof in 2014. So
Okay.
exactly 10 years ago now.
Wow.
And since then it sat and just laid fallow, and just trees grew up out of the audience,
Oh, boy.
Oh, geez.
buildings were falling over, all kinds of issues, everything's deteriorating.
Right.
But it really was a beautiful and very highly attended. Almost everyone in town used to see. I mean, I have the numbers. There were like 10,000 or more people a summer.
Right.
Really?
And they did one show. And
wow.
I
yeah.
saw one online where they did Oklahoma, and Curly rode up on a horse singing, "Oh, what a beautiful
yeah.
morning."
Oh, that's so
and
cool.
I was like, how cool is that?
Yeah.
You're outside, and it's oh my God.
Yeah.
I thought that was brilliant.
It's really magical.
It
Yeah.
would be very cool when it
Yeah.
comes back.
Yeah, exactly.
Greetings, listeners of the Allie and Callie Artcast podcast. This is Jason from Tubbs Coffee Roasters. Keeping art alive and culture relevant is the heart and soul of our community of creatives. And as a local coffee roaster who loves a good origin story of a painter or a farmer or a musician, we proudly support the Allie and Callie's Artcast podcast's expansion and exploration through positive conversation. So grab a cup of coffee, preferably one from Tubbs Coffee Roasters, and tune in, humans. Your ears will thank you.
The Ovation Company, in partnership with the Chalkboard Agency, is committed to improving the climate and culture of our schools. The number one indicator for student success is connectedness, feeling like you are part of something. Nothing helps connect people like a good story. After all, isn't a podcast a way to share and collect stories? The Chalkboard Agency's mission is to connect the world of education through the stories that bond us all. To find out more, visit thechalkboardagency.com. And if you have a story to tell that you believe would help young people to be kinder to one another, reach out to the Chalkboard Agency and let us connect you to the world.
What are you doing for fundraising?
Well, this is a fundraiser.
Beauty
This
and the
show-
Beast.
Beauty
Oh,
and
the
Beast
show
is a
is
fundraiser.
the
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So last year's production of Secret Garden was a fundraiser, and this one is too. The idea began with let's do a sort of encores production where we're not spending a ton of money, but we can bring in some of our friends who are talent and do a sort of 3/4 production. Well, that was the idea last year, but then eventually it turned into, of course, to like a full
show.
production. Yeah, it
Right,
turned into
right.
a real show. And then this year we sort of said, well, let's just continue with that idea. And the funds go to the profits go to support our continued efforts to fundraise, basically. So we have to maintain the property. There are costs that come along with securing and maintaining the property. And then there are costs associated with keeping the organization running in order to reach out and really fundraise on a more intense level.
Because you have quite a bit of money to raise
We
to
do.
renovate.
Well, our initial plan was a $25 million plan.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah, that was going to have private box seats and a rehearsal facility and this big truss and all of these things. And over the past couple of years, we've talked to people in the community and we said, you know what, let's get it open.
Right.
The thing about that was it was a tiered plan, but people never saw the tiers. They
They're
just
like,
saw
"Ah,
the
that's
final
too
number
big,
and
that's
got
too big."
scared.
Yeah.
So now we've paired it and simplified it down to a $6 million plan that will get the theater
Open.
main parts open again, be able to have people back in there, and get us a rehearsal facility on site that will be a year-round, cooled,
Yeah.
multi-purpose venue that we can use to fundraise, but also rehearse when it's 100 degrees outside out there.
Right.
you know?
Right.
Our goal is to eventually do multiple shows in a summer like Coeur d'Alene, but as you know, that means rehearsing during the day
Right.
and then performing at night. So when it's 100 degrees and doesn't drop until 7 o'clock at night,
Yeah.
Right.
you can't be out on the stage rehearsing.
Yeah,
So
it's too hot.
that's a really integral part of the plan, is that we have that other space. Yeah.
And then the amphitheater will be used as a community space, right? Or they can rent it out. So
Yeah, so
it'll
we
be
will help
for
sustain the
community.
organization, by renting it out, of
Right.
course, for like very reasonable rates, especially for nonprofits.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm pretty passionate about maintaining it as a theater space.
Right.
A lot of people in the community say, that's great, we can have concerts. And yes, we can have concerts, but there are already a lot of concert venues. And I see it more as slotting in concerts, which would be amazing out there.
Right.
But, a concert can be, or a symphonic, like the symphony wants to partner to
Sure.
come do a Summer Pops concert or something.
Oh, yeah.
That's easy,
great.
kind of, compared to producing a full-scale musical.
Right.
Yeah.
You could put up a concert in a day or two.
Right.
And then, and a 1,400 seat theater is a great size for Walla Walla venue. And if it's somebody that's big enough, I think when Nora Jones recently played, it was like 6,000 people. You could have a multiple evening performance venue.
Sure.
And these are seated seats, reserved seats. They're not sitting on grass, bringing their own lawn chairs.
Right.
Oh.
So it's a different experience.
That's nice.
And I think it will be a valuable asset for everyone in the artistic community and the greater region here in Walla Walla once we get it up and
Absolutely.
running again.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about the Summer Theater and your organization, because it sounds. I mean, you're a semi-professional.
Yeah, I mean, our goal is to really give back and make the organization very artist-focused. We don't have to, like so many other theaters or community theaters. We probably could ask people to provide their time, volunteer, but we just feel passionate about valuing that and paying back and giving back to the cultural economy here in a way that values artists.
Right.
So, it's not enough yet, but at least we're able to compensate everyone involved in the production in some way in an artistic capacity and just say, every year, we look at our budget, we look at what we are projected to make for the show, and we say, like, this is what our salaries are going to be. And we're very upfront about it and just say, look, like this, we're trying harder and harder every year.
Right.
It's going to take a few years to get the numbers and the capacities that we need to pay, what people really should be paid. Last year we had 2 equity contracts. So we feel very, on year 1, we had 2 equity contracts.
That's great.
So we're able to do that, but it's just going to take a little time before we can get everybody on the pay scale.
This is only year 2.
It's year 2, right?
Good Lord.
Right.
I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah. So, but as I said, it started with the idea for the amphitheater, and then people were so excited about getting productions going again, and they were like, so you're going to do a show out there next year? And we're like, no.
Yeah,
like,
simmer down.
Yeah. But we didn't want to lose the enthusiasm.
Right.
So we said, let's do it at Cordner. Once we did Secret Garden at Cordner, people were so excited that they said, well, do you teach classes? And we said, no, but
we could.
We can.
Right.
So we got a classroom space. We recently got an even bigger and better classroom space, the former dance center space above us, right downtown Walla Walla. And we're doing classes, workshops. We had a guest artist come in. Alexander Karyotis came from New Jersey last year and taught an amazing voice workshop for us. So it's just tapping into those resources. Between us, we all kind of know
people.
We know some people.
Yeah.
And it's a small world.
Yep.
And just, hey, don't you want to come to Walla Walla for a weekend?
Come on.
Drink
why
some
not?
wonderful wine and sit by the pool and, whatever.
See a great show.
And also
absolutely.
just give back to this, be a part of this community.
A great community. Yeah. I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's growing so fast. I mean, we're only limited by our capacity to staff all of the initiatives and the programming that we want to have, because it's been extremely popular, and I'm just struggling to keep up with the interest, frankly. And we don't want to overpromise and do things and not do them well.
Right.
But, even during Beauty and the Beast, so this last week, we had a partnership with the Walla Walla Valley Disability Network, and we did a whole production with them. At a separate space. I think we had like 25 special needs kids that were involved in that were able to put on a production.
I love that.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's really great.
We have a theater company in Coeur d'Alene that works with special needs young adults.
Yeah, CDA
young
Act.
and old, a CDA Act. And their shows are different.
They're wonderful.
But they're amazing.
Oh, it's transformative for these kids.
It's so
great.
Yeah.
To see the joy on those young people on stage getting able to perform. It's really amazing.
Yeah, our chief DEI officer is also our youth outreach coordinator, which I think kind of go hand in hand in this community because there are a lot of underrepresented communities in terms of arts in the area. Her name is Kaylin Pike, so I have to give a big shout out to her because she's sort of taken that opportunity and completely run with it. Like, we did a school tour this last year. We did like all the elementary schools in 5 different school districts. I mean, over 5,000 kids, and it was all her and her team that put that together. And I'm so grateful because it allows me to focus on the summer productions, which as you know, are a year-round endeavor.
Big. Oh, and I also want to shout out to your costumer or whoever did your costumes.
Eliza Vander Rostein. Yeah,
those were great.
They were great. I want the dress that. Well, first of all, I have to lose a little weight to wear it, but dang, that was a cute dress.
Yeah. Bells? Are you talking bells?
Belle's dress.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that iconic yellow dress. Yeah.
Yeah. She looked great. Yeah.
Amazing. Quick changes backstage are wild.
I bet they are.
Yeah.
You have and some great voices. I mean, I mean, we know Elaina from Coeur d'Alene. Gaston was great. Everyone was just amazing voices.
And that hair, I thought for sure he was wearing a wig.
No, that's a real deal. Every part of him is real. Yeah. Believe it or not. I'm happy to report.
He was wonderful.
Yeah. I have to give a big shout out to Rob Harrison, who's our music director.
Yeah.
He also grew up with me, Brad, Crystal, who plays
Mrs.
Potts
I know him
at the amphitheater.
I don't know why I feel
He's a professional and kind of retired from the professional opera singer life now, but he is the director of our local choral society as well, and he's amazing. Such a valuable contribution to the organization. But yeah, the Gaston, John Henry Helms III, when we were talking about doing this, we said, we have a few people in mind to do Gaston, and we threw out a couple names. It was like, maybe there'll just be some giant burly guy that comes in like a red flannel to auditions. It's like somebody we've never heard of before. And that's exactly what happened.
He walks in the door.
Yeah,
and
we're like,
perfect.
Whoa.
And he can sing.
And you didn't know him?
Didn't know him before.
Oh, my gosh. Well,
that's
perfect.
amazing.
He was perfect.
Yeah.
There were so many perfect. It was just really perfect casting. It was just fun.
I think it goes to show you, there are people that live here that for a long time I think have said, maybe I'll do it, maybe, but then when you start to create the reputation of treating your cast well, making it, making their time really
valuable.
Efficient, and
don't waste my time.
Exactly. And it's hard when you're doing a community theater schedule, only volunteering your time, but doing multiple months of rehearsals.
Yeah.
So, I know for me, my marriage wouldn't withstand a 3-month rehearsal process.
Right.
I could ask for forgiveness for 2.5, 3 weeks, but it's a great opportunity for young theater like when we did Coeur d'Alene, so many young, college students.
Oh, yeah.
It's a first job kind of situation. Yeah. We had like 130 auditions this year. People audition, which is huge for us. And 30 or 40 of them were self-tapes from, New York, across the country.
That's great. And do you put them up? So where do they all stay?
We're slowly creating those relationships with local people because people say, well, the symphony does it. It's like, but they only have to stay like a few days. This is like a month.
It's a commitment.
It is a commitment. And so Elaina, we were able to put her up. There was sort of a half and half situation where she was in a sort of ADU situation for the first part. And then we moved her into some Whitman housing.
Oh.
And then we have another actor that's staying in a separate private bedroom with its own entrance and everything in one of our board members' places. So, we're building those relationships.
Right.
And it is so hard. Like I've talked to Chuck at CDA about this. It's like we're really limited by the amount of housing that we can provide. Of course, you always want to use locals, and there are so many talented locals. But if you do need to bring in guest artists, if you do want to do Smokey Joe's Cafe or West Side Story or something, you have to be able to bring in.
You need some ethnicity.
Yeah. You have to reach out to the greater region or even
bigger
beyond,
cities. Yeah.
and be able to say like, we don't mind paying the salaries. We're happy. Like that's my favorite thing to do is sign checks for people involved in the production. But when it comes to housing, like that can be more than a salary. If you're paying full meal deal, for the whole month.
Yeah.
So it really becomes a value to
my
have the
husband
housing.
and I volunteered to house actors for years from the Summer Theater and met the most incredible people. I mean, we had one guy that he'd come in the house and he'd go to his room and he basically
never saw
lived.
him. Yeah.
We never saw him.
Yeah.
That was kind of disappointing. But everybody else, we just became friends and hung out. And
absolutely, it can be really enriching, especially if you get the right combination.
Right.
Sometimes you're in a show and you just think, and I've done homestays myself as an actor before, and I've done apartments or private situations, and for young people, like, they're just happy to have a place to stay, and they love it, and they have more energy. When you're a little older, you're kind of like, I just want to
be.
I don't want to be
myself.
on again.
I just rehearsed all day. I don't want to talk to you.
So it just depends on the right
dynamic.
person. The dynamic, but it certainly can be a very rewarding experience.
Yeah. It was really fun.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we would get tickets to the show, which was always a nice benefit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We hosted many people. Many.
Yeah.
What do you see for the future? What is your main goal for the Summer Theater?
Well, it's really necessary that we get our own space.
Yeah.
It's really hard to build when we are working in rented spaces and not able to familiarize ourselves with our tech setup, and build in the space that we're rehearsing in. It's just really important that we get our own space for that.
Yeah.
And, I'm hoping that space is going to become the amphitheater space.
Sure.
Right.
But not only that, there's something about that amphitheater space that is so authentic to this region.
Yeah.
And that's really important. Like, you go to the drive-in with your family. I always make this analogy. You go to the drive-in, you go for the experience. You go kind of to watch Goonies again, for the 60th time. But, part of you watches the movie, part of you's there just for the experience.
Absolutely.
And in order to get, the following and the numbers that we need to be able to support doing multiple shows a season, we're going to need to have that experience for people, and especially the kind of theater goers, in Walla Walla we're not trying to do theater for elitists, we're not trying to do artist work, this theater has to be about entertaining locals, and we really want tourists to come and say,
let's go see that.
Wow, that was just as good as I would have seen in Seattle or Boise.
Any of the big cities. Yeah.
And then we want them to say, every year we go to Walla Walla,
we got to see that show.
We go to their show. We've never heard of, maybe they've never heard of Kinky Boots, or maybe they've never heard of a number of shows that we might do, but they go, but it's always good no matter what.
Right.
And you have that product that
it'll be
people
fun.
trust. It's going to be good.
We're going to see it. It's going to be good.
So it's building that. It's building the trust with the community in the region, but it's really about creating an experience.
Yeah.
And Corner Hall is great. Like you said, it has some technical challenges, but it presents itself in this sort of like Lincoln Center,
Welcome to the theater.
Yes, exactly.
Very,
I was
very high and mighty,
I was like, whoa, this place is big.
I know, right? I walked in and went, wow.
Yeah. The kind of person that I want to enjoy our shows is like, Uncle Bob comes for, his niece's graduation up from Texas or something, and he's like, oh, I got to go see my niece in this theater show, like, I don't know about this, and then he goes to the show and he's like, well, that was actually really good. Like, I'd go to that again.
That was fun.
You want to change people's mind. You want them to like actually enjoy themselves, and I think that's what we're trying to do. We're not trying to say, look how clever we are. Like, we could do Light in the Piazza like better than Broadway. You know what I mean? Like, there's places for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially if you have a multi-show season. There are some shows that you would put as a smaller show, like a Forever Plaid, mixed with a Beauty and the Beast or mixed with a Mamma Mia. And you get to do those shows once you...
The art show, once you're established.
Establish yourself.
Exactly. And that's what I see as the future is different kinds of shows, something for everybody, in an authentic setting, in a wonderful space that is inviting to all people and is inclusive of everyone. Yeah.
For all your screen printing needs, trust the local you can count on. Pyramid Printing has been a Coeur d'Alene favorite for over 2 decades.
Specializing in screen printing, embroidery, signs, banners, and stickers. For all jobs, big and small, just give Eric a call.
Email us at info@pyramidprintingcda.com or give us a call at 208-664-0254.
pyramidprintingcda.com. Add a little flair to your special events with Scraps Barbecue, a great catering choice for your next gathering. Specializing in golf tournaments, sporting events, weddings, and other family-friend gatherings, their commercial kitchen can be on site, or you can choose to have a fully catered meal delivered right to you. Known for their authentic Santa Maria-style tri-tip and tequila lime fish tacos, they can customize the menu to meet your needs for groups of 20 to 2,500. Contact Kevin at kevin@scrapsbarbecue.com or check them out on Facebook. So what show are you thinking about for next year?
I bet he can't tell us.
I bet he can't tell us.
I
either,
love
but-
this because after every night show, I have at least one or two actors come up and be like,
So
Sound of Music, or like they're all kind of like lobbying for their own shows.
yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, how about this? How about that? And internally, it's a really small group of people. Ultimately, it's me along with the board that sort of has a conversation right now about what the show will be, because it's what we're capable of. We look at our strong suit in terms of our pool of talent locally.
Right.
So we have an idea, but we probably won't really be announcing it until October or November, just because we want to sit on it and just, think through all the logistics. Right now we're at a point where it's like, we really need to be certain that we can execute whatever show we do well.
Maybe you can follow the Walla Walla Summer Theater online.
That's right.
Exactly.
So what's
Get
that
all the
site?
updates.
What is that site?
So wallawallasummertheater.org.
See?
Okay, that's easy.
Yeah,
And
it's
you
very
can
easy.
maybe see that announcement.
Right?
You can check out our socials. Yeah, follow us on the socials. Sign
And
up
then
for our email list.
Maybe you can find out about auditions.
That's right.
If you're
an audition.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
When
Auditions.
do you audition?
We usually audition in February.
February.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's about
Callie's
right.
not allowed.
I'm not allowed. I'm not allowed.
We have a contract.
I know.
We have more reasons to come to Walla Walla.
Unless you need a 61-year-old lady. I'm getting old, long in the tooth, let's say. Anyway, so it is hard to have. There aren't that many places that have their own theater. Anyway, I mean, in Coeur d'Alene, no one has their own theater.
Right.
Oh, Lake City Playhouse, and they're back. And they're and they have they struggled. So it is a feat for any theater company to have their own space. So how are you fundraising besides doing the plays in the summer? What are other ways that you're doing it? And how can people get involved, and how can they help you?
Right.
Well, we're always seeking community partners. We're seeking angel donors. We're seeking, possible naming rights for this endeavor.
Oh, yeah. That would be a great.
So we really are just making those relationships with local families and institutions and sort of proving our concept. So every time we get a show like this that people go, oh my gosh, like we see the potential now. We see what you're trying to do and what you could bring here, then we go back to local institutions like, well, look at this now. Look at how much local economy could be driven by the fact that, every night of the summer, somebody could come see a musical, come from Tri-Cities, come from Spokane, Boise, or whatever, and have something to do after you wine taste all day.
Exactly. Come to the show.
Yeah, so we are in private conversations with a couple of angels, and also, we think that if we talk with some local representatives, and we believe that if we can get like half the funds, that we could probably get some state
funding,
state grants
that
to match.
would be great.
Yeah. So, and I mean, for what we're getting, like $6 million, this 1,400 seat outdoor amphitheater space that serves everybody in the community, and like, I think it's a pretty good deal.
Yeah,
pretty good. Yeah.
I think it is. I think
it'll be
reasonable.
a great asset for the community.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Walla Walla needs that now. I mean, it's,
well, you're growing, I'm sure.
It had it before.
Yeah.
And how everyone went out there and said, oh, well, let's just let this go to waste.
That's crazy.
So we believe strongly that it will happen.
It will happen.
Yeah, you need a champion.
So is there a
for it.
fundraising? Do you have like a page that's just fundraising? Is it amphitheater or is it Walla Walla
it's still
Summer
Walla
Theater?
Walla Summer Theater.
Okay.
Yeah. It's all under one umbrella.
Okay.
We basically have 3 tracks. There's the amphitheater track, there's the production track, the professional production track, and then there's the studio track. That's like our schools, our educational outreach. But the amphitheater space. We're in the capital raising stage right now. So, if people are passionate about wanting to get involved, absolutely. We're at the beginning. It's the best time to get involved. It's the most exciting time.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the hardest time, but if you really want to be involved, like, you could make a legacy. You could make an impact.
Yeah.
It's not something that's already established. So you reach out. You're talking directly to me.
Right.
And our board and our leadership team, and we can have a conversation about how you want to be involved, or what your vision is for the development of the organization and the site as one.
Right. Yeah.
That's exciting.
Wow. It's really cool. And I think what you're doing, just based on what I saw last night.
In 2 years.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
I'm so impressed.
Yeah, that's not easy.
Well, we have to give thanks to, our Coeur d'Alene people who really, they were me and Brad and so many other people's first professional experience with Roger out at Coeur d'Alene Summer Theater.
Way back. I know.
When we were 18, 19 years old. And
I know. When
so
you guys
much
were
of
just
this
kids.
is... Yeah. So much of this has been inspired by our experiences and what that gave to us. So, it's wonderful to have Callie.
I know. It's so
reconnect.
fun. I know. It's just great. I mean,
was doing summer theater the year that Roger came for the first time. He was just
Yeah.
a little whippersnapper.
I know. She knew my husband before I knew my husband. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Roger said, just my strategy was always to surround myself with people that I thought were better than I was, and let them have the reins. And I think that's really important, Like I said, support the artists and help them do the best work that they can do. And that's what we've been doing. That's what we plan to keep doing.
Well, it shows, because the shows are great. So next year, come to Walla Walla to see the shows.
And
the show.
Check out the social media so you're in on the announcement of
whatever that
be doing.
show might be. It'll be a musical, though, right?
It will be a musical.
And then when does it usually run? Is it a 2 week, 3 week?
2 weeks. Yeah. These 2 weeks. So it's basically the second and
third week in August. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
So
perfect.
Make your plans for next summer for Walla Walla Summer Theater.
We are.
Yeah. We'll be back. Why not?
That's right.
Yeah, there's no reason we can't.
I've said it before. Wine, performances, and art. It all
and wonderful culinary institutions.
Oh yeah.
My God.
We need to ask you where we should eat lunch.
Oh yeah. I'll do that now.
I know. Oh, this has been great, though.
This has been great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to have you.
And much success to you and your board and everyone involved with the theater. And it's great that you're inspiring the little. Oh, see, I'm going to cry.
Oh,
I'm not. Nope.
Yep.
Hang on. I'm not going to cry. Inspiring. I love the way you say I need to inspire the little me's out there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is so perfect, because there are a lot of kids out there that need a place like this.
Yeah.
So well done.
Yes.
Well done, Tyson.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
Awesome.
Awesome. So
right.
I'm Allie.
And I'm Callie. And whatever you do today, make sure it's creative.
That's right.
And go see a play or a musical.
The Allie and Callie Artcast is sponsored in part by Tubbs Coffee Roasters, globally sourced, locally roasted coffee. Scraps Barbecue, a locally owned catering company. The Ovation Company, standing for what is right and good. And Pyramid Printing, a Coeur d'Alene favorite for over 2 decades.